Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the English news on Channel 2. And first, look at today's headlines. President Sisi meets with the Higher Education Minister and demands more universities to be set up across the nation. Iraq and Syria reopen major border crossing for the first time since 2014. Abdullah claims victory over Ghani in Afghan vote well ahead of results. And now the news in detail. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi today held a meeting with the Minister of Higher Education, Khalid Abdel Ghaffar, to follow up the progress of upgrading scientific research and setting up new universities across the nation. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Radi said the meeting also followed up the start of the new academic year, mainly in new technological universities in New Cairo, Wisna and Beni Suef. The president demanded mega national projects in the field of higher education to be implemented along the highest world standards in line with the state's strategy for investment in human resources and scientific research. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi asserted that he understands the situation of citizens who have been negatively affected by the recent reforms in the ration card system. The president's comments were posted on his social media accounts, where he also said that the government is committed to guaranteeing the rights of the low-income people. President al-Sisi assured people that he follows up on all procedures regarding subsidies, adding the government is fully committed to taking necessary steps for the benefit of the low-income citizens.
أنه يتابع بنفسه جميع الإجراءات الخاصة بدعم
المرحلة القادمة من مسيرة العمل الوطني تفرض علينا وضع الإنسان المصري في مقدمة أولويات الدولة من خلال إطلاق استراتيجية شاملة لإصلاح وتطوير منظومة التعليم تتوازى مع البدء في تطبيق منظومة التأمين الصحي المتكامل.
الفترة دي هي بصراحة خطوة كويسة جدا.
كلام ولا في الأحلام.
الناس مش مصدقة نفسها.
تضافركم معانا هينجح سواء كان في التعليم أو في الصحة، والكلام ده للمفكرين والمثقفين والإعلاميين بالإضافة للمجتمع.
أي حد عنده قوائم انتظار يتصل بالرقم الساخن وربنا هيكرمه إن شاء الله.
اطلب لك قوائم الانتظار مع حضرتك.
لن ينجح أي نظام في الدولة المصرية، تأمين صحي، تعليم، استثمار، تنمية، إلا بالاستقرار والأمن.
صراحة حاسس بالشعب،
لا في تغيير في البلد.
مس قلوب المصريين كلهم.
ادوا دفعة للنجاح وشجعوا وحطوا ايديكم معانا في ان احنا المنظومه تنجح. انا لو تخيرني بين ان انا اكل ولا اعالج دول، لا اعالج دول.
The State Information Service, the SIS, today said that the Amnesty International insists on adopting a completely politicized address in favor of certain political parties that either oppose the Egyptian government or adopts terrorist practices against Egyptian citizens. A statement by the SIS said this conduct by the organization runs against all international rules regarding human rights. The statement said that although the Amnesty International accused the Egyptian authorities of restricting the rights to freedom of movement by closing 4 metro stations in Cairo on Friday the 27th, it opted to disregard a SIS reply to the accusation. Instead of addressing the incident, it took advantage of the opportunity to keep throwing unfounded accusations and propagating false, unverified information regarding the situation in Egypt. Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince warned in an interview that the oil prices could spike up to unimaginably high numbers if the world doesn't come together to deter Iran. Speaking to the CBS program 60 Minutes, Mohammed bin Salman said that he preferred a political solution to a military one. In another interview conducted in Saudi Arabia, he said he agreed with the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo that the attacks, which knocked out more than 5% of the global oil supply, were an act of war by Iran. But he said he preferred a peaceful resolution because regional war would crash the global economy. Yemen's Houthi rebels today released hundreds of Yemeni prisoners in a unilateral move the United Nations hoped would help revive a stalled peace process. The International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC, which facilitated the release, said 290 Yemeni nationals were transferred from the Houthi-controlled capital, Sana'a, to their homes. Houthi rebels agreed in Sweden in December with the Saudi-backed government to swap prisoners as a confidence-building step, but the arrangement has been stalled as the sides struggle to agree on implementation. Meanwhile, the spokesman for the Saudi-led military coalition, Turki al-Malki, said Houthi militias have not abided by the Sweden Accord and continues to threaten international peace by using the western Hodeidah port to launch ballistic missiles and by turning populated areas into launching pads for missiles. And Iraq reopened its Qa'im border crossing with Syria today after nearly 6 years of closure amid regional turmoil. The crossing, which Iraqi officials declared open for travelers and trade, is in the western Anbar province town of Qa'im, 300 kilometers west of Baghdad, which was seized by the terrorist Daesh in 2014. The crossing is on a vital highway linking the capitals of Iraq and Syria and was recaptured from Daesh in 2017. And world leaders, past and present, stood in silence in Paris today at a funeral service for late French President Jacques Chirac, with engineer Sherif Ismail, presidential aide for the mega national projects representing Egypt. The French leader is remembered at home for his folksy charisma and abroad for opposing the 2003 invasion of Iraq. And we have more in the following report by Minna Dessouki.
Dozens of world leaders, including Russian President Vladimir Putin, today paid their final respects to the ex-president Jacques Chirac as France held a national day of mourning for the popular former head of state. German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, as well as former U.S. President Bill Clinton, also joined President Emmanuel Macron for a funeral service at Saint-Sulpice Church in Paris a day after 7,000 people queued to view Chirac's coffin at the Invalides Monument. A minute of silence was to be observed in all public institutions and schools today afternoon. Chirac's death on Thursday, aged 86, prompted a flood of tributes to the center-right politician whose career spanned 4 decades, capped by 12 years as president from 1995 to 2007. One of Chirac's most significant steps on the international stage was his opposition to the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq in 2003. He is also remembered for warning of the risk of climate change before it rose high on the political agenda. But the latter years of his presidency were also criticized by political and economic stagnation. As a political historian put it, one cannot say that he really transformed France. It is his personality that made him popular.
Afghanistan Chief Executive Abdullah claimed victory today over incumbent Ashraf Ghani in the weekend's presidential elections, far ahead of the release of any official results. Abdullah said at a news conference that they have the most votes in this election without giving a basis for his assertion, adding that the results will be announced by the Independent Election Commission. Abdullah's announcement comes even before the IEC has finished tallying turnout from Saturday's election, with hundreds of polling centers still unreported, and preliminary results are not due until October the 19th. And India received 10% above average monsoon rains in 2019, the highest in 25 years. Seasonal rainfall continues longer than expected, killing at least 113 people. And we have more in this following report.
Heavy rains have killed at least 113 people in India's northern states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar over the past 3 days as flood waters swamped a major city, inundated hospital wards and forced the evacuation of inmates from a jail. India's monsoon season that begins in June usually starts to read by early September, but heavy rains have continued across parts of the country this year, with the Weather Department reporting today that India received 10% above average monsoon rains in 2019. An official said that at least 93 people had died in most populous Uttar Pradesh since Friday after its eastern areas were lashed by intense monsoon showers. Rising water levels forced authorities to ship 900 inmates from a prison in eastern Balia district. Thousands were moved to relief camps. In neighboring Bihar, the death toll from the latest bout of rain had reached 20. Bihar's capital city of Panta, home to around 2 million, has been badly hit, with waist-deep flood waters across many streets and entering homes, shops, and even the wards of a major hospital. In some parts, authorities deployed boats to rescue residents. However, in its bulletin on Monday, India's Meteorological Department said the intensity of rainfall over Bihar was very likely to reduce. Showers in Uttar Pradesh are also expected to abate this week. Monsoon rains are crucial to replenishing water supplies in drought-stricken India, but they kill hundreds of people across the country every year.
Egypt's bourse was mixed today amid local corporate sell-offs against Arab and foreign investor purchases. The market capital for listed companies lost 1.3 billion Egyptian pounds, closing at a 715.4 billion pounds. Benchmark EGX 30 index dipped in 0.4% above the 14,250 point mark. Medium capped index EGX 70 index rose on 0.3%, and the broader EGX 100 index surged in 0.2%. And upon an invitation from the International Federation for World Stock Markets, leading figures of the Egyptian bourse opened today's trading session as part of the country's participation in the global investors' week-long activities. The inaugural session was attended by representatives of universities and the National Academy for Training, with the stock exchange chief Mohammed Farid saying that he believes in the necessity of upgrading the society's financial knowledge and is seeking to provide training courses for students on the fundamentals of investment and savings. And oil prices fell more than 1% today after Saudi Arabia said war with Iran would destroy the world economy, and as traders tracked the latest twists and turns regarding the US-China trade war. London's Brent North Sea crude, the benchmark used to price international oils, dropped to 1.3% at $61.12 per barrel, while the US West Texas Intermediate sank a 1.0% at $55.34 a barrel.